Good afternoon. I'm going to be leaving here soon to go grab my brother and help him with a ride into town to pick up the work vehicle. So I don't know how far I'm going to get. Try to get at least 3 chapters done right now, but Jubilees 11 is where we are at. And in the 35th Jubilee, in the third week, in the first year, I don't need to read that, thereof, Ru took to himself a wife, and her name was Orah, the daughter of the son of Kesed. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Serah. In the 7th year of this week, in this Jubilee, and the sons of Noah began to war on each other, to take captive and to slay each other, and to shed the blood of men on the earth, and to eat blood, and to build strong cities and walls and towers, and individuals began to exalt themselves above the nation, and to found the beginning of kingdoms, and to go to war, people against people, and nation against nation, and city against city. And all began to do evil, and to acquire arms, and to teach their sons war. And they began to capture cities, and to sell male and female slaves. And the son of Kesed built the city of Ara of the Chaldees, and called its name after his own name and the name of his father. And they made for themselves molten images, and they worshipped each the idol, the molten image which they had made for themselves. And they began to make graven images, and unclean simulacra, and malignant spirits assisted and seduced them into committing transgression and uncleanness. And the prince Mastema exerted himself to do all this, and he sent forth other spirits, those which were put under his hand, to do all manner of wrong and sin, and all manner of transgression, to corrupt and destroy, and to shed blood upon the earth. For this reason he called the name of Serug, for everyone turned to do all manner of sin and transgression. And he grew up and dwelt in Ur of the Chaldees, near to the father of his wife's mother. And he worshipped idols. And he took to himself a wife in the 36th Jubilee, in the 5th week, in the first year thereof. And her name was Melcha, the daughter of Cabir, and the daughter of his father's brother. And she bare him Nahor in the first year of this week, and he grew and dwelt in Ur of the Chaldees. And his father taught him the researches of the Chaldees, to divine and augur according to the signs of heaven. And in the 37th Jubilee, in the 6th week, in the first year thereof, he took to himself a wife, and her name was Ijaska, the daughter of Nestig of the Chaldees. And she bare him Terah in the 7th year of the week. And the prince Mastema sent ravens and birds to devour the seed which was sown in the land, in order to destroy the land, and rob the children of men of their labors. Before they could plow in the seed, the ravens picked from the surface of the ground. And for this reason he called his name Terah, because the ravens and the birds reduced them to destitution and devoured their seed. And the years began to be barren, owing to the birds, and they devoured all the fruit of the trees from the trees. It was only with great effort that they could save a little of all fruit of the earth in their days. And in this 39th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the first year, Terah took to himself a wife, and her name was Edna, the daughter of Abram, the daughter of his father's sister. And in the 7th year of this week, she bare him a son, and he called his name Abram, by the name of his father of his mother. For he had died before his daughter had conceived a son. And the child began to understand the errors of the earth, that all went astray after graven images and after uncleanliness. And his father taught him writing, that he was 2 weeks of years old, and he separated himself from his father, that he might not worship idols with him. And he began to pray to the Creator of all things that he might save him from the errors of the children of men, and that his portion should not fall into error after uncleanness and vileness. And the seed time came for the sowing of seed upon the land, and they all went forth together to protect their seed against the ravens. And Abram went forth with those that went, and the child was a lad of 14 years. And a cloud of ravens came to devour the seed, and Abram ran to meet them before they settled on the ground, and cried to them before they settled on the ground to devour the seed, and said, Descend not, return to the place whence ye came. And they proceeded to turn back. Hold on 1 minute. And he caused the clouds of ravens to turn back that day 70 times, and of all the ravens throughout all the land where Abram was, there settled there not so much as one. And all who were with him throughout all the land saw him cry out, and all the ravens turned back. And his name became great in all the land of the Chaldees. And there came to him this year all those who wished to sow, and he went with them until the time of sowing ceased. And they sowed their land, and that year they brought enough grain home and eat, and were satisfied. And in the first year of the 5th week, Abram taught those who made implements for oxen, the artificers in wood, and they made a vessel above the ground, facing the frame of the plow, in order to put the seed therein. And the seed fell down therein upon the share of the plow, and was hidden in the earth, and they no longer feared the ravens. And after this manner they made vessels above the ground on all the frames of the plows. And they sowed and tilled all the land, according as Abram commanded them, and they no longer feared the birds. I'm struggling today again. Brain fog, just retardedness when I try to read. We are in Jubilees 12. And it came to pass in the 6th week, in the 7th year thereof, that Abram said to Terah his father, saying, Father. And he said, Behold, here am I, my son. And he said, What help and profit have we from those idols which thou dost worship, and before which thou dost bow thyself? For there is no spirit in them, for they are dumb forms, and a misleading of the heart. Worship them not. Worship the God of heaven, who causes the rain and the dew to descend on the earth, and does everything upon the earth, and has created everything by his word, and all life is from before his face. Why do ye worship things that have no spirit in them? Amen. For they are the work of men's hands, and on your shoulders do ye bear them, and ye have no help from them. But they are a great cause of shame to those who make them, and a misleading of the heart to those who worship them. Worship them not. And his father said unto him, I also know it, my son, but what shall I do with a people who have made me to serve before them? And if I tell them the truth, they will slay me, for their soul cleaves to them to worship them and honor them. Keep silent, my son, lest they slay thee. And these words he spake to his 2 brothers, and they were angry with him, and he kept silent. And in the 40th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the 7th year thereof, Abram took to himself a wife, and her name was Sarai, the daughter of his father, and she became his wife. And Haran, his brother, took to himself a wife in the 3rd year of the 3rd week, and she bare him a son in the 7th year of the week. And he called his name Lot. And Nahor, his brother, took to himself a wife. And in the 60th year of life of Abram, that is, in the 4th week in the 4th year thereof, Abram arose by night, and burned the house of the idols, and he burned all that was in the house, and no man knew it. Good for him. And they arose in the night, and sought to save their gods from the midst of the fire. Shouldn't their gods be able to save themselves? And Haran hasted to save them, but the fire flamed over him, and he was burnt in the fire, and he died in Ur of the Chaldees before Terah his father, and they buried him in Ur of the Chaldees. And Terah went forth from Ur to of the Chaldees, he and his sons, to go into the land of Lebanon, and into the land of Canaan. And he dwelt in the land of Haran, and Abram dwelt with Terah his father in Haran 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 5th year thereof, Abram sat up throughout the night on the new moon of the 7th month to observe the stars from the evening to the morning, in order to see what would be the character of the year with regard to the rains. And he was alone as he sat and observed. And a word came into his heart, and he said, All the signs of the stars and all the signs of the moon and of the sun are all in the hand of the Lord. Why do I search them out? If he desires, he causes it to rain morning and evening, and if he desires, he withholds it, and all things are in his hand. And he prayed that night and said, My God, God most high, thou alone art my God, and thee and thy dominion have I chosen, and thou hast created all things, and all things that are the work of thy hands. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have dominion over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God, and establish thou me and my seed forever, that we go not astray from henceforth and forevermore. And he said, Shall I return unto the Ur of the Chaldees, who seek my face, that I may return to them? Am I to remain here in this place? The right path before thee, prosper it in the hands of thy servant, that he may fulfill it, and that I may not walk in the deceitfulness of my heart, O my God? And he made an end of speaking and praying, and behold, the word of the Lord was sent to him throughout me, saying, Get thee up from the country, and from thy kindred, and from the house of thy father, unto a land which I will show thee, and I shall make thee a great and numerous nation. And I will bless thee, and I will make thy name great, and thou shalt be blessed in the earth. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And I will be a God to thee, and thy son, and to thy son's son, and to all thy seed. Fear not, from henceforth and unto all generations of the earth, I am thy God. And the Lord God said, Open his mouth and his ears, and he may hear and speak with his mouth, with the language which has been revealed, for it had ceased from the mouths of all the children of men, from the day of the overthrow of Babel. And I opened his mouth and his ears and his lips, and I began to speak with him in Hebrew, in the tongue of the creation. And he took the books of his fathers, and these were written in Hebrew, and he transcribed them, and he began from henceforth to study them. And I made known to him that which he could not understand, and he studied them during the 6 rainy months. And it came to pass in the 7th year of the 6th week that he spoke to his father and informed him that he would leave Haran to go into the land of Canaan to see if it and return to him. And Terah his father said unto him, Go in peace, may the eternal God make thy path straight, and the Lord be with thee, and protect thee from all evil, and grant unto thee grace, mercy, and favor before those who see thee. And may none of the children of men have power over thee to harm thee. Go in peace. And if thou seest a land pleasant to thy eyes to dwell in, then arise and take me to thee, and take Lot with thee, the son of Haran, thy brother, as thine own son. The Lord be with thee. And Nahor, thy brothers, leave with me till thou returnest in peace, and we go with thee altogether. Jubilees 13. And Abram journeyed from Haran, and he took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother, Haran's son, to the land of Canaan, and he came into Asher, and proceeded to Shechem, and dwelt near a lofty oak. And he saw, and behold, the land was very pleasant from the entering of Hamath to the lofty oak. And the Lord said to him, To thee and to thy seed will I give this land. And he built an altar there, and he offered therein a burnt sacrifice to the Lord who had appeared to him. And he removed from thence unto the mountain, Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east, and pitched his tent there. And he saw, and behold, the land was very wide and good, and everything grew thereon, vines and figs and pomegranates, oaks and ilexes and terebinths, and oil trees, and cedars and cypresses, and date trees, and all trees of the field. And there was water on the mountains. And he blessed the Lord who had led him out of Ur of the Chaldeans, and had brought him to this land. And it came to pass in the first year, in the 7th week, on the new moon of the first month, that he built an altar on this mountain, and called on the name of the Lord. Thou, the eternal God, art my God. And he offered on the altar a burnt sacrifice unto the Lord, that he should be with him, and not forsake him all the days of his life. And he removed from thence, and went towards the south, and he came to Hebron. And Hebron was built at that time, and he dwelt there 2 years. And he went thence into the land of the south to Bealoth, and there was a famine in the land. And Abram went into Egypt in the 3rd year of the week, and he dwelt in Egypt 5 years before his wife was torn away from him. Now Tanais in Egypt was at that time built 7 years after Hebron. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh seized Sarai, the wife of Abraham, that the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Abram was very glorious by reason of possessions in sheep and cattle and asses and horses and camels and men servants and maidservants, and in silver and gold exceedingly. And Lot also, his brother's son, was wealthy. And Pharaoh gave back Sarai, the wife of Abram, and he sent him out of the land of Egypt, and he journeyed to the place where he had pitched his tent at the beginning, to the place of the altar with Ai on the east, and Bethel on the west, and he blessed the Lord his God, who had brought him back in peace. And it came to pass in the 41st Jubilee, in the 3rd year of the 1st week, that he returned to this place, and offered thereon a burnt sacrifice, and called on the name of the Lord, and said, Thou, the Most High God, art my God forever and ever. And in the 4th year of this week, Lot parted from him, and Lot dwelt in Sodom, and the men of Sodom were sinners exceedingly. And it grieved him in his heart that his brother's son had parted from him, for he had no children. And that year, when Lot was taken captive, the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot had parted from him in the 4th year of this week, Lift up thine eyes from the place where thou art dwelling, northward and southward and westward and eastward. For all the land which thou seest I will give to thee and to thy seed forever, and I will make thy seed as the sand of the sea. Thou, a man, may number the dust of the earth, yet thy seed shall not be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it, and see it all, for to thy seed will I give it. And Abram went to Hebron and dwelt there. And in this year came Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Ephraimel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Selazar, and Tergol, king of nations, and slew the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Sodom fled. And many fell through wounds in the vale of Siddim by the salt sea. And they took captive Sodom and Adam and Zebulun. And they took captive Lot also, the son of Abram's brother, and all his possessions. And they went to Dan. And one who had escaped came and told Abram that his brother's son had been taken captive. And Abram armed his household servants, for Abram and for his seed, 1/10 of the first fruits to the Lord. And the Lord ordained it as ordinance forever, that they should give it to the priests who served before him, that they should possess it forever. And to this law there is no limit of days, For he hath ordained it for the generations forever, that they should give to the Lord a tenth of everything, of the seed, and of the wine, and of the oil, and of the cattle, and of the sheep. And he gave it unto his priests to eat and to drink with joy before him. And the king of Sodom came to him, and bowed himself before him, and said, Our Lord Abram, give unto us the souls which thou hast rescued, but let the booty be thine. And Abram said unto him, I lift up my hands to the Most High God, that from a thread to a shoe latchest I shall not take aught. This is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich, save only that the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Anar, Eshel, and Mamre, these shall take their portion.